Fake eyelashes. The 73-second insult that created a political empire. The insult took 7 words. The comeback took 13. The empire that followed is still growing. I think your fake eyelashes are messing up what you're reading. Marjorie Taylor Greene delivered the line at 10:47 p.m. on May 16, 2024, during a House Oversight Committee hearing that was supposed to be about holding Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. Instead, it became the moment that transformed a freshman congresswoman into a political brand worth millions. But this story doesn't start with fake eyelashes. It starts with 3 women who represent 3 very different versions of power in modern American politics, and the 73 seconds that exposed exactly how that power works. To understand what happened that night, you need to understand who these 3 women are and what they represent in the fractured landscape of modern Congress. Marjorie Taylor Greene, 50, arrived in Congress in January 2021 as Trump's fiercest warrior. She had no legislative experience, no policy expertise, and no interest in the traditional pathways of congressional power. What she had was a social media following, an unshakable belief in conspiracy theories, and an instinct for creating chaos that generated attention. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, 34, represented the progressive left's young insurgent energy. Since her stunning 2018 primary victory, she'd become one of the most recognizable politicians in America, feared by Republicans, sometimes frustrating to Democratic leadership, but undeniably powerful in her ability to shape national conversation. Jasmine Crockett, 43, was different. A civil rights attorney and former Texas state legislator, she'd won her House seat in 2022 by building coalitions and fighting for criminal justice reform. She wasn't a social media star or a cable news fixture. She was a lawyer who believed in evidence, preparation, and strategic precision. 3 women. 3 pathways to power. About to collide on national television. May 16, 2024. 9:34 p.m. House Oversight Committee hearing. The mahogany-paneled chamber buzzed with the usual Washington theater. C-SPAN cameras captured every angle. Reporters scrolled through Twitter, half listening to testimony they'd heard variations of 100 times before. Marjorie Taylor Greene sat at the witness table, her blonde hair styled in her signature look, wearing a black blazer that made her stand out against the dark wood paneling. She wasn't interested in Merrick Garland. She had a different target. "I want to ask a question," Greene announced, cutting into another member's testimony. Committee Chairman James Comer sighed. He'd learned that trying to control Greene was like trying to contain a wildfire with a garden hose. "Is there anyone on this committee," Greene continued, her voice rising with theatrical indignation, "that is working with Judge Merchan's daughter? Anyone employing her firm?" She was referring to Loren Merchan, whose political consulting firm had become a conservative talking point during Donald Trump's New York hush money trial. It was classic Greene: deflect from the actual topic, create chaos, generate headlines. Representative Jasmine Crockett, a 43-year-old civil rights attorney serving her first term representing Texas's 30th district, leaned forward. Unlike Greene, who had burst onto the national scene through controversy and conspiracy theories, Crockett had built her career defending people who couldn't defend themselves. "What does that have to do with Merrick Garland?" Crockett asked, her voice carrying the measured tone of someone who had spent years in courtrooms dealing with bad faith arguments. That's when Greene decided to go personal. "I think your fake eyelashes are messing up what you're reading." The chamber went silent for exactly 1.8 seconds. Everyone who had been scrolling through phones snapped to attention. Cameras zoomed in. This was no longer a boring contempt hearing. This was blood sport. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, sitting 3 seats away, immediately recognized what was happening. She'd been Greene's target before. The Georgia congresswoman had a pattern of attacking women of color with personal insults rather than policy arguments. "That is absolutely unacceptable," AOC said, her voice sharp with anger. "How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person?" Greene turned toward her with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Are your feelings hurt?" The sarcasm dripped like poison. This was Greene's specialty: provoke, mock, and when called out, play the victim or double down. Never apologize. Never back down. Turn every confrontation into content for her supporters. "Why don't you debate me?" Greene challenged, pointing at AOC. It was a demand she'd made dozens of times, always publicly, always knowing AOC would refuse. "I think it's going to be self-evident," AOC replied coolly, refusing to take the bait. Greene pressed harder. "You don't have enough intelligence." Chairman Comer, desperately trying to regain control of his hearing, attempted to move on. But the damage was done. The professional veneer of congressional decorum had shattered completely. And Jasmine Crockett hadn't said a word yet. Crockett sat quietly watching the exchange between Greene and AOC. She understood something that many political observers miss. Sometimes the most powerful move is strategic silence followed by surgical precision. She waited, watched, calculated. Finally, after several minutes of chaos, Crockett spoke directly to Chairman Comer with a question that seemed procedural. I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad-built, butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct? The chamber erupted. Bleach, blonde, bad-built, butch, body. The alliteration was perfect. The delivery was deadpan. The target was unmistakable. And the internet went absolutely nuclear. Within 43 seconds, the clip was on Twitter. Within 2 minutes, it had been viewed 50,000 times. By midnight, 2.3 million people had watched Jasmine Crockett deliver what would become one of the most iconic comebacks in congressional history. Greene's response? I don't think you know what you're here for. But everyone knew Crockett had just won. Decisively. Permanently. May 17, 2024. The morning after. When Jasmine Crockett woke up at 6:47 a.m. in her Washington apartment, her phone had 2,347 unread text messages. Her Twitter mentions were a flood, 47,000 new notifications overnight. Her Instagram had gained 89,000 followers. News producers from every major network had left voicemails requesting interviews. Bleach blonde bad-built butch body was trending on Twitter with over 4 million mentions. TikTok videos using the audio had collectively reached 15 million views by breakfast. Memes flooded Instagram. Political commentators on cable news couldn't stop playing the clip. But the phenomenon went beyond simple virality. Something deeper was happening. Black women across America saw themselves in Crockett's response. For decades, they'd watched black women in public life be attacked for their appearance, their tone, their hair, their bodies, while being expected to maintain composure and professionalism. Crockett had done something different. She'd matched the energy, used the same weapon, and won decisively. White women who were tired of Greene's bullying celebrated the comeuppance. Progressive men saw it as righteous accountability. Even some conservatives, exhausted by Greene's antics, privately admitted the comeback was brilliant. The phrase became a cultural touchstone overnight. Drag queens performed it. DJs sampled it. College students chanted it at parties. Within 72 hours, B6 had entered the lexicon as shorthand for the perfect clapback. But Crockett, who had spent her career as a public defender fighting for people who society ignored, understood something important. Viral moments fade unless you capitalize on them strategically. She called a meeting with her chief of staff, her campaign manager, and a trademark attorney. 3 days later, she filed trademark paperwork for B6, shorthand for her now famous phrase. By June, merchandise was available. T-shirts, mugs, stickers, all featuring variations of the B6 brand. Proceeds went directly to Democratic campaign fundraising efforts. By August, the B6 merchandise had raised over $2.1 million for House Democrats. Jasmine Crockett had turned Marjorie Taylor Greene's attack into a political empire. But Greene wasn't finished. She never is. August 19, 2025. Megyn Kelly podcast. 15 months after the fake eyelashes incident, Greene appeared on Megyn Kelly's podcast, a friendly environment where conservative figures could speak freely without mainstream media gotcha questions. Kelly asked about the Crockett incident. Greene's response revealed exactly how she saw the confrontation. Jasmine Crockett doesn't understand the Black American struggle. The statement was stunning in its audacity. Crockett, a black woman who had spent her entire legal career fighting civil rights cases, defending marginalized communities, and advocating for criminal justice reform, apparently didn't understand black struggle. According to Marjorie Taylor Greene, a white woman from one of Georgia's most affluent districts. Twitter exploded again. But this time the reaction was different. While the bleach blonde comeback had been celebrated as witty political combat, this comment revealed something darker. Greene's willingness to dismiss a black woman's lived experience and professional expertise. Crockett didn't respond directly. She didn't need to. The comment spoke for itself. But her supporters did. B6 merchandise sales spiked 340% in the 48 hours following Greene's podcast appearance. What Greene intended as another attack had become another fundraising opportunity. The psychology of power. The Greene-Crockett confrontation reveals 3 distinct approaches to political power in modern America. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Chaos as strategy. Greene's power comes from her willingness to break every norm of congressional decorum. She doesn't build legislative coalitions or craft policy, she creates spectacle. Every controversy generates attention. Every insult produces headlines. Every attack reinforces her brand as the warrior fighting the establishment. The fake eyelashes comment wasn't a mistake. It was calculated. Greene knew exactly what she was doing, creating a viral moment that would dominate news cycles and energize her base. What she didn't anticipate was that her target would be better at the game than she was. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Strategic engagement. AOC's response to Greene's attacks has been consistent. Defend others, refuse the debate trap, maintain the moral high ground. She understands that engaging with Greene one-on-one legitimizes Greene's tactics and provides exactly the content Greene wants. When Greene attacked Crockett, AOC immediately defended her colleague. When Greene challenged her to a debate, AOC dismissed it without engagement. She denied Greene the confrontation that would have generated days of coverage. It's the political equivalent of refusing to wrestle with a pig. You both get dirty, but the pig enjoys it. Jasmine Crockett. Precision and monetization. Crockett represents something new, the ability to match Greene's theatrical combat while building sustainable political infrastructure. The B6 response wasn't just witty, it was strategic. The trademark and merchandise turned a moment of conflict into lasting political capital. She proved that you can fight fire with fire while building a firewall of resources. The ongoing battle. The feud continues today. Every few months, Greene takes another shot. Every time, Crockett's brand grows stronger. In September 2025, during a hearing on Department of Justice funding, Greene referenced certain members who care more about their appearance than American security. Everyone knew who she meant. Crockett smiled and said nothing. 2 days later, B6 merchandise had its best sales week ever. In October, Greene posted on Truth Social, "Some people in Congress should focus less on branding and more on legislating." Crockett responded with a single tweet, "My legislation speaks for itself. So does your voting record." The contrast was deliberate. While Greene had sponsored 0 successful bills and became infamous for attempting to oust Speaker Mike Johnson, Crockett had quietly built a record of constituent service and coalition building. December 16, 2024. Present day. As Marjorie Taylor Greene announced her engagement and prepared to leave Congress after being labeled a traitor by Trump, the irony wasn't lost on political observers. The woman who spent years attacking others with personal insults was exiting public life after Trump did the same to her. Meanwhile, Jasmine Crockett announced her campaign for re-election with a video that featured, prominently, B6 merchandise worn by supporters across her district. The fake eyelashes comment was meant to diminish Crockett. Instead, it launched her national profile. Greene's attack became Crockett's superpower. The lesson: there's a reason bleach blonde bad-built butch body resonated while thousands of other congressional insults vanished into obscurity. It represented a perfect reversal of power dynamics. For years, Greene had attacked women of color with impunity. She mocked AOC. She harassed Representatives Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. She faced no consequences because Republican leadership refused to discipline her. Her fundraising prowess and vocal Trump support made her untouchable. But Jasmine Crockett did what many thought impossible. She beat Marjorie Taylor Greene at her own game while maintaining dignity and building lasting political infrastructure. The fake eyelashes comment was supposed to embarrass Crockett. Instead, it revealed Greene's greatest weakness. Her attacks only work when her targets can't or won't fight back. Crockett could. And did. With precision, wit, and strategic brilliance. 3 women. 3 approaches to power. 1 viral moment that changed everything. Marjorie Taylor Greene thought she was creating another controversy that would dominate headlines and energize her base. She was right about the headlines. Wrong about everything else. Because 73 seconds of insults and comebacks didn't just create viral content. They created a blueprint for how to respond to political bullying in the social media age. Don't just clap back. Build an empire. Don't just go viral. Create lasting value. Don't just survive the attack. Turn it into rocket fuel. Jasmine Crockett took 7 words meant to humiliate her and turned them into a multi-million-dollar political brand, a national platform, and a masterclass in strategic communication. Marjorie Taylor Greene threw a punch and handed her opponent a megaphone. And that's how fake eyelashes became a political revolution.